Oh, my dog ate it. I'll have it done by next Tuesday.
My dog ate this audio file.
Yeah, the dog ate the audio file.
It's a sound bite.
He looked
Raking up the AdSense money now.
What are we at, like $5?
What?
Close enough. No,
I mean,
close enough.
We're rounding up.
might be down to like 470 something. Not even.
Oh, we didn't even crack the $5?
Nah, it's a tough life, guys.
That's why we need you, the listener.
Ooh. Stereo.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess we start the show. With the arms of the angel.
We already got hit for that one once, so we can't get double copyright strike on it.
Oh, did we get the copyright?
I don't know. I haven't looked.
Oh,
at it.
you're assuming. We don't know yet. Okay.
Okay.
Because I kept throwing it in there. So
I assume it does. It is what it is. Does anyone have anything to start the show with? Any concepts?
Any concepts?
Anything interesting happen in any of your
we
lives?
had the you had to work.
Yeah, we had Bandsgiving yesterday for the
yeah.
soundtrack.
Yeah, I heard.
That was pretty cool. The food was good.
Yeah, food was great.
It's kind of just the formal announcement that we're gonna take a.
Did you make the announcement?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I
we talked
didn't-
about it.
I didn't hear the announcement. So.
No, we talked about it afterwards.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
We were just like farting around.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna take a couple breaks after. A break after the holidays, and then we'll get back to it eventually. So yeah, we'll do that.
Fair enough.
Stuff.
They sounded pretty good. I'm not
No.
gonna lie. You guys,
No, it sucked.
No, well, listen. I heard one song in particular, and it kind of was coming together, and it was really nice to hear that progress. I mean, I know there's like a bunch of different songs you guys got to do.
Well, it's been tough to get everybody into the same room, and me and Jafet, we were talking, and we were just saying like, especially Jafet, but like I could agree. If I can't give my full self to this, I don't want to give 20% to this, 20% to that, 20% to this. I'm so spread out in all my projects that I can't give it a good college try. So why keep stubbing my toes trying to get all mad about myself because I haven't been practicing?
Yeah,
and it's like, yeah, well, let's take the busy season off and take it where it goes in January and see what happens.
Yeah,
but then that frees up a full day for me to be able to practice. Like you practice so you can go to practice rather than practice at practice.
Yeah, fair enough. It's funny. It's funny how like Thursday, November and December are the busy seasons, but it's like the 2 months where you have the most time off, and typically, but like everyone, it's like it's like the busiest season of the year because you're running around. And it's a lot of family involved. It's interesting. And
it's a lot of meshing of schedules, and that's usually where issues happen. Is like. When you have to mesh schedules with a bunch of other people, that's when a lot of time gets thrown out the window.
Yeah.
Because it's all like, okay, I'm willing to like sacrifice 15 minutes of productivity to just make my schedule work in a cohesive way with somebody else's, and that's just how it happens.
But even so, when you're hemorrhaging 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, it really adds up.
No,
it really does.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Which is why this season is so big on unproductivity or non-productivity, is because like nobody gets anything done in November and December, or if anything gets done, it's very small amounts of stuff.
Oh, talking about season 2, this is the last week of recording for season 2.
Yes, it is.
Speaking of season,
Yeah, and we'll be back eventually. Do we have
we don't have a hard date yet.
That's fine. We'll be back eventually. You guys will see it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
But yeah, no, that's exciting. This has been a great season so far. We only got 3. Well, with this one, 3 episodes. So 2 episodes after this.
So
And
this is episode 70.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next episode is 71 and 72, the grand finale.
Remember we did episode 50?
Yeah, I know, right?
I was like last week.
Nah, I don't know. Honestly, it's a blur.
Time just compresses in on itself eventually.
That's it. You guys just want to hop right in,
Yeah,
seeing that we got a bunch of
fine.
points to rip through.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. So the concept of our show for today. See, we're going right to the point.
Wait.
Oh, I guess we're not going to the point.
Welcome to the Life Podcast. My name is Eric. I'm here with Tyler, Benji.
Hello.
And now we can hop into the topic.
All right, so topic for today, we're going to compare and contrast a few characteristics of immaturity versus maturity. Actually, let me put on my mature voice.
That's a gross word.
for all our mature audience. No.
It's the mature episode.
We're crossing into a different.
Yeah, right. This is the maturity episode for the mature audience.
Yeah.
If you want to know more, go to Patreon and watch us.
This little box. Are you 18 plus? What do you mean? I couldn't keep my kid out of that website.
Rubber ducks and coffee cups, boys.
Rubber ducks and coffee cups. Use your imagination. Just kidding. Yeah, no, go join us on Patreon for $1.
Okay, this got immature really fast.
Sorry.
Benji's just like
I'm cooked, dude. I'm not even burning candles anymore. I'm burning the wax on the table right now.
The table's
I
getting
got
burned.
1.5 weeks till I go on vacation, and our schedule is cooked, guy. So, and I'm sick, so I apologize to everybody who's listening, but I will try to participate as much as I can.
we're getting there. All right, so we're gonna talk about immaturity versus maturity. We see this with a lot of people. We preface this probably the first time ever in the Life podcast on our episode. You could be a grown,
Yes.
Yeah.
but still not be an adult. And these basically center around that same point, and we'll kind of elaborate and talk about it more.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about in the You Can Be a Grown episode. We talked about the concept of like the things that we do and the like the things that we buy, and like when as you grow older you realize, no, I don't need all of these unnecessary things. I want the things that I actually need in my life, and you start to get that concept of like the difference between a need and a want.
Yeah.
And this concept is more of like a moral or like psychological growth or maturity, right?
Yeah, these are more I guess characteristics of a mature person rather than like wants versus needs. So just hopping right into it, something on the list right now, it's an immature person is selfish versus a mature person being considerate.
Yeah. That's something you see a lot of times. Like if you look at like small children versus adults, or at least most of the time, because adults can also be immature.
Yeah.
You see kids are all like, I want the toy, and it's all like, it's the example that comes to mind is the idea that like a kid can have like 50 toys, and somebody else starts playing with one of them, and that's the one that they want.
Mhm.
And it's all like, as soon as that person stops playing with that toy, they no longer want it, and it's like that like,
Yeah, right.
you know what I mean?
But the toy they haven't touched in 3 years, the minute that kid comes over and touches that,
That's his
that's
favorite toy.
my toy!
Yeah.
They freak out. We see this in just day-to-day life. I
Yeah.
mean, preface it as like a boy versus a man, but like I've been plenty selfish in my life, like thinking about like, oh well, what about me? Or I want to do this. I don't care if you don't like it. I don't care if you don't want to come with me, but like I'm gonna force you to do this with me
Yeah.
because I want it.
That was a big moment in my life where, when things stopped, where I no longer was the first thought. Where like whenever a situation comes up, it was like your initial reaction is like, how's this gonna affect me? You know what I mean? And then but it slowly turned into like you start thinking about everyone else's first, and then you're included with them,
Right.
But like, what's the best decision that everyone benefits from, and myself?
Yeah, you consider others around you instead of just like, oh, how this is gonna cook me, or I don't like this. This is gonna make me feel uncomfortable. Me, I. Versus like this is going to how does somebody else feel about this?
Yeah, I mean, there's been decisions where like even I've made where I take it's almost like a compromise in a way, where like it's not the best decision for me, but so many other people will benefit from it if I just take this small bullet and just make it happen, and then other people will be made happy. And it's like sometimes that's the maturity level that you're able to take, as long as it's nothing crazy. You're not gonna like put yourself into uncomfortable situation, but there are definitely lines there. But that sense of like I'm putting other people before me is one step towards maturity.
Absolutely. You want to move to the next point?
Just before we go, I didn't know how to shoehorn this concept in. The play A Death of a Salesman is, if I remember correctly, we had a conversation about books and I was completely off. But I think
Twice.
I believe the plot of The Death of a Salesman is the concept that he gets a life insurance policy and he dies like on purpose. Like I guess with a car, like he kills himself with his car or whatever. And it's like that the point to provide for his family, and like it's a metaphor for like people giving more of themselves than they should to help other people. At least that's what I got from that play. That might or may not be the plot of the play, but nonetheless, take that as yeah.
It's about a dog, Benji.
Yeah, exactly. But like the people so often get so far into this false sense of maturity that they then do things that they feel they they forget that they are a part of that equation too.
Yeah.
It's important. Maturity is also the fact of understanding that sometimes you have to give up certain things that you want for the betterment of the community as a whole. And then sometimes you have to take stands on the things that you want so that you can develop as a person as well.
Absolutely. So you don't grow and become this miserable, just curmudgeon of person. We see this a lot as first and second generation immigrants. You see people come over from another country. They give their kids, they work like 90 hours a week.
Yeah.
Give their kids everything they didn't have, spoil the crap out of their kids. They're miserable because they're working 90 hours a week and they hate their life just to provide for their kids so that they can have a wonderful life. And their kid doesn't understand the first meaning of what it is not to have these things.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, you just cooked your mental health, your physical health, and your kids aren't turning out the way that you wanted it to.
Yeah, exactly. It's a net zero game. You sacrificed all this stuff and you still lost. It's all like, and that's an unfortunate position to be in. And I it's tough to get yourself out of that situation.
Well, I mean, it comes from balance. It comes from taking care of yourself so that you're not miserable at home. It's like, but I gave you the best of everything. Yeah, but you were just a miserable prick when you were here. Like,
Yeah.
what are we gonna do about you? Like, you still don't win.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's very common, and I don't even want to bring up that song, but there's a particular a song, like just the concept, and me and Benji actually had a conversation about it. Like, if you do get to a point where you are, making, you're reaching your goals and accomplishing your goals, but because you try so hard to accomplish your goals, you have a child, you want to spoil it to an extent. You want, like, if you have a daughter and stuff, like, you want to give that child everything that, you know what I mean? But it's like, you have to find that right balance, like Tyler was talking about like giving something, but also teaching a lesson with it.
Yeah.
So that they understand the value of what you're giving them instead of just give. They never understand the value of it. And that just leads to immaturity in the future because they'll never understand how hard you actually worked or how much it takes to actually have the things that they have.
When it was always about them too, then you're just breeding somebody who's selfish rather than considerate because it's always been about me the whole time. So why have I had to consider you or your feelings or anybody else?
Yeah, exactly. Why do I have to change now? Why is it different now? I mean, this is the story of Richie Rich, the Christmas story.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's the little kid that has everything, and then he had to lose everything to realize what he had. It's a very common story, but like it's a lot of people go through it and they don't even realize that they're doing it to their own children, especially if they're young. You know, like you got a 2-3-year-old, and every time the kid cries, like you give them exactly what they want. I'm not a father. I've said that probably 1,000 times on this show, and I'll say it again. I don't have any kids. So I don't know exactly what it's like to be in that position, but all I do know is giving in every single time is not a healthy environment for the child.
And honestly, that segues really good into the next point, which is being passive versus being assertive. When you're passive and you have to pacify that need, like you have that crying kid right there that's always throwing the temper tantrum, and you just pacify, rather than assert, hey, you're fine. Or this is gonna happen whether you like it or not. Actually, that's one thing I'm grateful for my parents for, and I've told this on the podcast. When I was a kid, my mom was so assertive when it came to like eating dinner, and I am so happy about it. Whatever my parents made was what I was going to eat.
Yeah.
Whether you liked it or not. And I think I did it only one time, if not once, twice only.
Yeah.
But it was like, you're gonna sit here, we're gonna sit at this table until you eat your food, and if we don't eat that food, and I'm tired of being here, I'm going to wrap it up, put it in the fridge. You're going to go to bed. You're going to wake up tomorrow morning when you're hungry and you forget that this happened. And that food's going to be right there on that table. And it's like, for you being assertive rather than pacify me and make me chicken nuggets or whatever I was looking for, that made me a better person.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I want to stick on to the assertive thing because I think that's a skill that a lot of people don't actually. It took me for a long time to actually understand. I never understood the word.
Yeah, it's not just like being a jerk.
Yeah, it's not being a jerk, and it's not just being like, it's not another form of aggression. It's nothing like that. I think that like there are many good courses that teach assertiveness, and I think it's really important for as an adult for you to learn assertiveness so you can implement it in your own life so that people. It's not a matter. It's like it's literally putting everything we talk to into practice as far as like drawing the lines and all that. The assertiveness is what gets it there. You have to be assertive and you have to be very upfront with your words, and instead of like kind of squirreling back and kind of like being that passive person of kind of trying to manipulate things to get what you want. It's instead of like just coming forward and being
Well, we gotta
Your cards are on the table.
Putting
Right.
the cards on the table, yeah.
Well, we said it in the podcast too. You have to make choices, or else life's gonna make choices for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the difference between being passive and assertive. It's asserting where you want to go and how to and how you're gonna get there. Even if you don't know, you're gonna say, "Hey, I'm going in this direction," rather than being passive and just letting the course of life take you wherever it wants you to.
Yeah. And that's a heavy hit, because I mean there are a lot of people that live the life of a lot of us just kind of let life happen. You know what I mean? And then before you know it, it's like, what do you mean I'm 30 years old and I still haven't accomplished my dream? What do you mean that I'm still not where I want to be? What do you mean I'm only making this amount of money? I had dreams that I was going to be here, but you just let life keep moving and moving and moving, and you never put yourself in a position to actually compete.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll come back and talk a little bit more about being passive and assertive. And
Stuff. Stay tuned.
We would like to thank Anchor for sponsoring and hosting the Life podcast. So who are Anchor and what do they do? Anchor is the all-in-one platform that gives you everything you need to make and publish your podcast. And best of all, it's all free. Anchor allows you to use their creative tools to record and edit your podcast. No need for any fancy professional equipment. Sounds amazing, right? And we haven't even gotten to the best part. Anchor isn't just a recording and editing platform. They're a publisher too. This means that Anchor takes care of all of the hard stuff, like publishing to Apple and Google Podcasts, so you don't have to. So what are you waiting for? Download the Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started. Another thanks to Anchor for hosting, publishing, and sponsoring the Life podcast.
so I'm gonna assert myself right here, right now, and say we're back. Yes, that's how that works. All right. So passiveness versus assertiveness. Anybody got any more topics about that? Any kind of commentary?
Learn how to be assertive. Just learn. There's a skill set. There's a learning curve to it. You get better at it with time, but you have to start putting yourself in positions where you get better at it.
We'll defer to our sick friend here.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, thank you. Passiveness also becomes and develops into apathy and appeasement. And appeasement is very dangerous because appeasement turns into Germany in World War II.
And appeasement turns into the Holocaust.
In all honesty, it does. It's like the fact that was a military strategy baffles me, where it's all like, hey, Hitler wants this piece of land. He's going to take it by force if we don't give it to him. Okay, give it to him, but then tell him he can't have any more.
Yeah, right.
And it's all like, yeah, that's going to go great, everyone.
Watch me.
and we joke around about it, but that actually happened. So,
yep.
Yeah, it's all like
history class.
Read the book.
Yeah. So don't be passive, because then passiveness becomes like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna do what this person. It becomes no longer like that you're just getting swept away with the waves. You're now actively starting to move in the opposite direction when you get transferred into appeasement.
Well, what's that thing about like the Holocaust or whatever? It's like, oh, they came for the Jews and I wasn't a Jew.
Yeah.
So like it wasn't my problem. And then they came for the Christians and I'm not a Christian, so it didn't phase me. Then they came for this person and that person until it like the list keeps getting longer and longer until
they
they
got to them.
And they were like, and there was nobody left to help me.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Burn.
Well,
It's
that's how it rolls, because they
Yeah.
sat there and were passive instead of being assertive, saying, "Hey, you can't do that."
Yeah. You got to stand up for the things that you feel are right.
I mean, and that's the beauty of America too. You can stand up for whatever you believe in.
You can. I don't think that we're standing up anymore. But anyways, that's
No.
a different conversation.
But yeah, that is a completely different conversation.
Dab on the haters.
Okay. Next point on the list: living in the moment versus planning for the future. Immaturity versus immature. Immaturity says, "I'm going to live for this moment of pleasure," versus the mature person saying, "No, I'm going to consider what this moment means for my future."
So my dad always used to say, there's a difference between living in the moment and living for the moment. And that's not really exactly what this is about, but it is tangential, and it's
No, that's
important.
exactly what it is.
And it's like there are people who live solely for the next bit of their life that's interesting. So they plan a holiday 1 year out, and that's the only thing that they think about, and that's the only driving force that they have in their life is that holiday 1 year away.
Well, I mean, think about most of the people we know. They live for Friday nights. Like my life only has purpose because I can go out and like rip it up on a Friday.
Yeah,
I work Monday
same.
through Friday, so I can go out Friday, Saturday night. Yeah.
And spend all of the dollars that I made on Monday through Friday.
Not all of them, Benji. I
Even
have
more
bills
than-
too.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I gotta. You know,
I don't remember like 80% of my Friday nights between the ages of 14
well,
and
you know,
14 and 20, but
I don't want to remember the nights anyway. They're so much fun.
Yeah, that's because then they make the rest of my week horrible. So why would I want to remember them?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There's a huge difference between living in the moment and living for the moment. When you're living in the moment, you're kind of you're present with who you are.
Right, that's carpe diem. That's seizing the moment, and you're like, okay, well, I can take everything as it comes.
And that's where you want to be. But you don't want to make every decision to make the present you and only the present you happy. You know what I mean? Like, and this is where it gets very choppy because a lot of people, you know, you get into, you know, your vices and your things like that. Where
Cocaine and Whole Foods.
Cocaine and Whole Foods,
Yeah.
you know, or cocaine inside the Whole Foods, or whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah.
Tyler's so confused. That was in a song. Sorry, that was lyrics.
Bars. As they say.
Ben Dollars.
Yeah.
But it's like people like go to their vices because in the short term, in the right now moment, living for the moment, that's the best decision for me because it makes me feel good. But you're not actually planning what's the best decision that's gonna make tomorrow better, or what's gonna make next year better, or what's gonna make the next 10 years a better experience than the last 10 years.
Right, and it really walks hand in hand with passive versus assertive. I mean, having plenty of experience with drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
You're passive in that moment instead of being assertive, saying no, I want to get out of this, or no whatever it is. It's like no, you're passive and you pacify.
Exactly, it's the same idea like what Benji brought up earlier, where it's just like you let it just one time we'll give it to him, and then but don't ask for it again. You do that to yourself, like I'm just gonna drink this one more time, but I'm never gonna do it again.
Oh, talk about the moms who give their kids like money for heroin, like because they're gonna go out and steal if they don't go out. And they don't give them money for heroin. It's like I'm just gonna do this one time.
The twisted concept of that, like, is just crazy, and it's like you think you're doing the right thing, but you're really just prolonging the problem.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's difficult, and I
gotta be.
I hope that nobody ever gets put in that position again. Unfortunately, it does happen. It's a tough situation, and it's hard to do that mental calculation of, hey, I don't feel good right now, but I'm going to feel good later on, as opposed to, I don't feel good right now, let me fix the right now, and then tomorrow will be tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know if this is on the list.
What?
But one thing that I got, it might be on the list later, I don't know, but I want to say it now, is one thing that really was like a breaking point for me to mentally understand my matureness was when I stopped making decisions based off emotion, and I would put my emotion, like I would wait until my emotions got settled before I made any type of decision or reaction to a situation.
That's actually really, really good.
And like, because I used to have, before you guys met me and before this whole podcast, and this is years ago, I did have an anger thing that I had going on where like my first reaction would be like, I would get angry, I would overreact to things that weren't really necessary to overreact to. But it took like a lot of assertiveness in my life to decide that that's not how I want to react. So I'm going to stay quiet when I feel these feelings. I'm going to give myself the time to understand what I'm feeling so that I can re-enter the conversation from a calmer place and explain myself instead of just reacting and just spitballing everything that comes out.
Yeah.
And that was that became an assertive thing in my life where it's a conscious decision that I had to make.
Yeah, that's really good about taking note. No, go ahead, Benji.
No. Eric and I were having a conversation with somebody, and I made the joke. Eric was like, "Oh, don't make decisions in anger," and I was like, "No, make decisions in anger. Those are the best ones." And it's all like, obviously a little joke, but like people do actively make decisions when they're angry.
Like the truth actually comes out when you're resentful and angry. It's like you just spoke the truth. I didn't mean that. Yes, you did.
Yeah,
that's what you wouldn't. If you didn't mean it, you wouldn't have said it.
Exactly. And the thing is, when you're angry, you don't articulate your ways or your words or anything that you feel the right way. You just articulate point A to point B as fast as possible, and you just, like I said, that's just spitballs coming out, and you can really do more harm than good.
And we see that prevalent in like Portuguese culture too. That's how a lot of Portuguese men will actually deal with, like, I mean, you've been taught generations and generations of I feel something, so I lash out in anger because that's all I know. versus like taking ownership like you did and said, you know what, I have to own this. And
the biggest mistake that people make is they say that this is just who I am. I just have a short temper.
Yep.
And that's the biggest mistake, because it's who you are now, but it doesn't have to be who you are tomorrow.
That's really good.
And it takes a conscious, assertive decision in your life that you want to change that, and it is possible. You can change it. You can change almost anything in your life if you really, really want to. If you think it's a problem. But a lot of people just kind of live that passive, like, oh, this is just who I am. Oh, I'm a Leo. This is who Leos are. You know, and when you have that mentality, you put yourself in a cage. You put yourself in a box, and you live by the standards that some thing that's made up it puts you in. And it's very dangerous to live that, because then now you start, the things that you do, you just put the blame on something else.
Look like stars.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, and yeah, exactly. Oh, the Mercury is in a certain alignment, so today I'm pissed off.
The Mercury's in my soup.
That's
why I make my decisions this way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shout out to you guys gotta go watch the vlog if you want to get in on that one.
Segment,
Yeah, that was a vlog segment.
There's a phrase in Latin that said the truth is in the wine, or something along those lines, and it means like when you're intoxicated, you say what you genuinely mean, and I think that it's a very simple way.
A fair amount of the time.
Yeah, it's I've lost. No, it's a metaphor for the concept that when you're intoxicated with emotion, you say things that you wouldn't normally say when you have a filter. And that's the concept here. It's like you can get intoxicated via substances, or you can get intoxicated via emotions and then say things that you wouldn't necessarily say when you weren't intoxicated with those emotions. I can't come up with the right words right now.
No, that was
but
perfect.
that was the concept.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and so your emotions, it's just becoming to get into a point where like you're in control of your own emotions instead of your emotions are in control of you.
Exactly.
Because when you're in control of your emotions, or when you're not in control of your emotions, someone else says something. Benji says something that just he knows the trigger, and he says it, and then all of a sudden I'm all riled up.
And you're like,
so Benji has more control of me than I do. You know what I mean? So it's like it's coming to a point where, or whatever.
I made the re sound effect.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I just blew right by that. Like,
That's fine. I'm sorry.
all right, that stop sign got blown by. Anyways, but yeah, it's just the idea of like when you're in control of your own emotions, you are in control of your own life, and other people don't dictate how your day's gonna go.
Right. Yeah.
So that means you don't need a safe space.
I can't even do that noise. Okay, yeah, triggered.
Donald Trump is the president of the United States. Okay, next point on the list. An immature person looks for a boo thing, and a mature person looks for a spouse.
Oh.
A boo
thing.
I was like, the gears again. We're just like, yeah, absolutely.
The people
chirping third.
Remember there was like instead of bay, it was like bow
or boo.
or boo.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I know, like boos. That was like not the 90s.
Humans
That was
to
Boo
say
Radley from To Kill a Mockingbird.
yeah. Different story. I remember that one. I may not remember a lot of the books that I read. I remember.
I remember the first time I heard the N-word.
Yeah.
I read it.
Yeah.
That's
unfortunate.
That's very unfortunate.
Yes. So this is something that I see a lot in like college culture, because I'm not too far gone from college culture. At least at the moment, where it's all like most people no longer refer to people as girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. Like the commitment aspect of it is no longer relevant.
Commitment.
The terms that they use, I can't obviously
Terms
use
and services.
on
The
this
things
podcast.
nobody reads.
Yeah, basically. But
just accept whatever, guys.
yeah, exactly.
Give me the product. Give me the product.
Download now. But like the terms, of course, not relevant for this podcast. But like, you know, that it's not in a relationship. It's just like if a person is, you know, interacting with another
Friends
person.
with benefits.
Yeah.
Friends with benefits.
Yeah, fair enough. That's
There's
a
a lot
good
of
way to
that.
say that. But yeah, that's really the only relevant aspect to it. And when that basically business agreement ends, then that's it. Then the whole thing's shut down. There's no emotional connection. It's just a physical one.
I don't even think there's a business agreement. We think about it and we play around and we talk about like having a spouse is I bet you half my stuff that will make it.
Yeah.
But that's really the difference, and nobody wants to play that roulette. Nobody wants to play that game.
No.
Well, it's because the game has become a very odd stacked game in favor of not you. Because what is it now? 40.
They say 52%.
52% chance
Against you.
Against you. Yeah.
Okay, so that's ridiculous. So I mean,
It's worse than a coin flip, boys.
yeah, and that's why it's like. I think it comes down to it is way worse than a coin flip. So it really comes down to a lot of people end up where they fall into this trap where they're looking for a spouse and they settle too soon. It's okay to go into a relationship and to see if something works, and then deciding mutually this isn't going to work. It's when you start bringing all, like if you're having sex and you're having all these other affairs and all sorts of things. Now it's like a lot more emotionally in depth with them.
That's number one. Your relationship's never the same once you start having sex.
Absolutely. And once you cross that threshold, it's like this is no longer what it was. This is now like you accepted the agreements to a much deeper relationship, and naturally, as humans, like other animals, once you have sex, some species of animals, it just comes with the commitment with it. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean,
having
think
sex
about it.
is
It's
the commitment.
It's not reading the terms and services. It's just clicking accept. Like, I want the product now. I want it now.
And then throwing the app into some folder that you never see again.
Yeah.
You know, and it's literally what you do.
It doesn't work like that. But you don't know that they're gonna take from your bank account $39.95 a month for the first 6 months. And it comes with some viruses and extra software.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's the metaphor.
Yeah, there it is. There you go. But a lot of people, they jump too soon, or they settle because it's like, oh, I don't want to start all over again, and then you end up in this relationship, and it was never really a healthy boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. But but once you put a ring on it, it'll get better. And then all of a sudden, now you're just in a married relationship.
And then you're like, if we have a kid, it'll get better.
And then if we have a kid, it'll get better because it'll keep us distracted enough for us to realize we really don't actually like each other.
Yeah, right.
It's just other things that's going to keep our time occupied. And then you get to a point where now you've had the kids and now you've got the marriage and now
and
it's
you don't have the sex.
And you don't have the sex anymore because you never really liked them like that. And then all of a sudden now it's another divorce that goes into the other stack of odds. It's settling, and I think that's a very huge sign of immaturity. Is you're not being assertive. That's you being extremely passive in your life, and you're letting the tides take you wherever it wants to, and you're just going with the flow. Like I don't want to be assertive right now because it's going to be very uncomfortable today. So I'd rather just ride this until it dies, and then it dies, and then a lot of people are affected.
And it's also instant gratification. The concept that people are not willing to wait for anything anymore. And it's all like, oh yeah, you're willing to satisfy this desire that I have, and it's all like, yeah, you're fine. Like, let's go. And it's all like
Tinder.
Yeah.
Tinder culture.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Tinder culture, exactly.
It's
I told you about the game I used to play at lunch, right? How many beers?
Oh yeah.
Until I would sleep with that person or that person.
7 to 8, right there. Yeah, 7. That one 2. Just 2. Yeah, that was good.
We could drive by a package store. I didn't have to stop.
But yeah, I mean, it's crazy that in 2019 going into 2020, it's as easy as a swipe of a finger to let somebody know that you're interested in mating.
Yep.
Or you could just bark at someone.
or like Benji got barked at yesterday. I think it was a mating call.
That was.
Do you rap?
Nah, yeah, absolutely.
Anyways, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back with hopefully the rest of the list.
Stay tuned.
In a world where 3 people's lives come together to change the lives of whoever is willing to listen, and now coming to YouTube.
Wait, we have YouTube? I'm not subscribed.
What do you mean you're not subscribed?
Well, I didn't know.
You're a part of the show.
I didn't know I was supposed to subscribe.
Next, you're going to tell me that you're not following us on social media.
We have a social media?
Dude!
Subscribe.
You leave them.
Leave them. 21 ways to hide the body. Cosmo.
Shout out Cosmo.
If you want to sponsor us, let us know. Link in the description.
Could you imagine if Cosmo sponsored this
That'd
show?
be hilarious. I'd
That
love
would be
that.
that would be so ironic. Anyways,
Yeah, if you want the rest of that story and how that came about, or even that topic, sign up for Patreon. Rubber Ducks Coffee Cups, $1 a month. It's in links in the description.
it would really help us out.
Ooh. All right, so moving on in the list, we were talking about Boothang versus spouse. Next thing on the docket, immaturity versus maturity. The immature person plays games where the mature person will shoulder their responsibility.
This could be us, but you playing games.
Quit playing games with my heart.
I was gonna say there's like 1,000 songs written about this.
My heart.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait, are you singing NSYNC in like a Nickelback voice?
Yes.
Okay.
No,
cool.
well, that's just my voice, guy. Come on.
Oh, sorry.
I didn't actually play that up. That was just
No.
my voice.
Oh, bad.
Rip.
My bad.
That, we know how
I love you,
Eric
Tyler.
feels now. No, but
It sounded
that,
like Nickelback. All right. No offense. Nickelback's pretty good.
they made a lot of dollars.
I just threw up in my mouth.
I'm gonna set Nickelback as my ringtone, just for Tyler.
It's just when Tyler calls.
No,
All
no,
right.
okay. So what was that thing again? I had a concept. I forgot what it was.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Oh, immature people play games versus mature people shoulder responsibility.
Yeah, this is one of those relationship things where it's all like, if people are passive and they're not doing things, then it's obvious that they're going to play games. Because if they're passive, they're not looking for what they want. They're not assertive. They're not bringing to the table what they want to bring to the table. So you just kind of just waddle in this like circle until somebody decides like, hey, we should maybe figure something out or not do this anymore.
Or life gives you an excuse or an out to get out.
Yeah.
It's like I'll play as many games to put you in a weird position so that when life starts making decisions for us, I can be like, oh, you see, I gotta get out of here. Like, no, I can't do this.
There was a big thing for a while that there were girls who would say like things. I had friends who were girls for a little while. That was an interesting period of my life. Nonetheless, they would say actively like things like, oh, that person's like not boyfriend material. They're like husband material. But that's why they didn't date them, was because they weren't good boyfriends.
Yeah.
They were.
I've heard that one before.
And
too.
I was all like,
You're not the boy toy. You're the
yeah, you're like the
you're the stable
one.
foundation at home.
Yeah, so I'm going to avoid you, but if you're still available when I'm ready.
Exactly. And I was like, wait, so you actively decided that person is not worth interacting with because they're too stable. It's like, yeah. It's like, what is wrong with you as a person?
Proactively seek the hot mess.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
basically. And it was like, that was an
Funner
interesting
that
concept.
way, I guess.
It's more entertaining.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, it's true, but
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
go ahead.
go ahead.
I was gonna say like it just that concept actually throws my concept out the window a little bit, because in that aspect of it, you're at a point where it's like usually this person just got out of a relationship and it's like I don't want to get back into one, so they see somebody that's like, oh, that person is definitely well grounded and they don't want to play the game I want to play.
Yeah, I want to just play games with somebody who's willing to play games too.
Exactly. And in a way, I mean, respect. Yeah, you don't want to destroy everyone's life. Good for you. That's kind of not selfish, sort of. But
You're already crashing, so we might as well crash together.
Yeah, right.
yeah, go find somebody who's like really who's already jumped too, and then
Yeah.
both of y'all are just falling. Just now, you can hug on the way down or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not gonna shoot someone out of the sky just for fun.
Yeah.
Or all right, so let's shift this out of relationships for a second. What about like say you ask somebody to do something for you and they give you the roundabout answer here, there, and everything, rather than shouldering responsibility of like, oh, I didn't, or even just the fact of I didn't do it versus like, oh yeah, it's done, and then it's like, can I have it? Oh yeah, I'll give it to you in like a day. I'll give it to you in a week. I'll oh, my dog, yeah, stuff. And then you like it turns out they never actually did it. It's like, why did you play those games rather than shoulder the responsibility of doing it, or at least being a man and saying that you didn't do it?
Well,
Yeah.
we get to the concept of the want that everybody has to love me. Or it's like, no, not everybody has to love you. And the concept like, oh, if I tell this person that I didn't do the thing that they asked me to do, if I tell them that I didn't do that paper that they wanted me to write, that they're gonna get mad at me and they're no longer gonna love me, and then they're never gonna invite me to go hang out with them.
Yeah,
And
fear,
it's all like,
fear disconnection.
Yeah, fear, disconnection, and insecurity.
Yeah.
All bundled up into one.
One amazing
You're so
package.
insecure in yourself that you think that you not accomplishing this one task, you have to lie about it in order for them to not like think any different of you, so that you can maintain this facade that you have of perfection, I guess. But even though you don't, but you're the first one to say that I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
It's an interesting mentality. And it's just a lot of people lie. A lot of people love to lie.
Oh yeah.
And it's sad to say, but that's it. Sometimes it just comes out of their mouth, and they don't even realize they're lying.
Yeah.
You know, it just flows out like it's the truth, and they're just so used to that, living that lie, that they don't even understand that it's a lie anymore. And so things like that, it's just like cake to them. It's just no big deal.
Right, to play the game because your life's a whole lie to begin with, or your life's a whole game anyway. All right, we got to keep moving though.
Jeez, right.
I want to do this real fast. Well, I mean, we still have like 4 or 5 points.
Absolutely,
No.
I'm just saying, like, that was a great way.
That was a heavy
Oh.
hit.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. One of the points here, I want to make this really, really brief. Controlling and possessive. An immature person is controlling and possessive versus somebody who is mature and protective of somebody. We see that in relationships a lot. Somebody who wants to manipulate, control, and possess somebody and really manipulates what they do versus telling them, hey, I would prefer you didn't do this because for your protection.
Right.
That stands pretty good. You have anything?
Or even in an office environment where it's all like, if you I've seen multiple times where people have stopped other people from getting promotions just because they want them on their team.
Yeah.
Where it's all like, my team would function a lot
that's
less
awful.
efficiently if you left it. So I'm
which
gonna
is
do everything.
manipulation. Yeah.
I'm gonna do everything in my power to stop you from getting a promotion so that I can control where you go in this company.
That's really bad.
No, that's that's awful.
I'm pretty sure. What was it? Two episodes ago, more or less, we had a good talk about that, about manipulation.
I think so.
And emotional manipulation.
Side note: if you see any of this happening in your life or in the lives of others,
Call the police.
you gotta jump. You gotta jump ship. There's no other way to deal with this situation. Where it's all like, if you have a manipulative boss, get out.
Yeah. If there's no way to confront it and take it head on and shoulder responsibility like a mature person, if you shouldered it and there's still no way to combat it, then jump.
Then peace.
Yeah. And you just can't be manipulated. You can't let people.
Don't be passive.
Yeah, all of a sudden you start living what they want you to live, and it's them getting the entire win out of it, and you just kind of going along for the ride.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, but it's my job, and he's my boss. Listen, your boss, if he's doing that, he does not have your best interest at heart.
Right. All right. So moving on. Giving excuses versus making progress. An immature person gives excuses versus a mature person just makes progress.
It wasn't me. Sorry.
Yeah, no, legit.
That's it.
Or the idea of, well, you see, the reason why I couldn't do my part of this project was because Jeffrey in accounting said that he needed a PO, and it's not like it's like, and then
Use the PO as my name and date. Come on.
Yeah, yeah, and it's all like, and then Jennifer in marketing said that I needed to match the colors, and then we had to wait for the client, and it's like, everybody's fault except for you. You're the only one who's touched this product in the last 3 months, and everybody's fault. It's everybody's fault. Yes.
It's the system's fault.
Yeah.
You know, because it's a bad system, and
It's
never
broken.
It never logs the people in right.
Yeah.
Can you read that quote one more time? Sorry.
Immature person makes excuses. A mature person makes progress.
I really like the second half of that.
A mature person just makes progress.
Because when you, I don't want to say when you admit to your faults, but in a way, whenever you do something wrong and you man up and you actually face it and you confront the issue, and you learn from it. You learn, like, because you go actively and you go to fix it. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, and you learn from it that way. If you avoid it completely and you just say no, it wasn't my fault, you're actively saying I don't want to learn from my mistake, and I will do it again because I'm not recognizing it as a mistake. But when you kind of just take the bull by the horns and you deal with it and you fix it, you learn about it, you learn what you did wrong, and now you're much less likely to do it again, and that's what progress is.
All right.
And you also, sorry, really quickly before we go,
ahead.
And we also, once you get away with it once, you can get, you mentally process, I can do this all the time.
Right.
So it's all like, if your boss comes up to you and it's all like, this is the deadline, and you work, and then you miss the deadline by 1 day, and they're like, nobody cares.
Yeah, then it's like, oh,
Then
I can
that's
always
it.
just miss the deadline.
Yeah, then the deadline's out the window for every other
Or,
project that you ever do.
you were singing that Shaggy song. It wasn't me. Like, how many times did Shaggy get enabled to sit down and write a song about like getting caught banging somebody on the bathroom floor?
That was not a one-time
Like,
thing.
oh, it wasn't
What?
me. Well, I caught you doing that person in your bathroom. Nah, it wasn't me, man. Like,
Benji, if you say you haven't heard this song, Benji, we're literally gonna
What are
listen
we
to
talking
it.
about?
Shaggy, it wasn't me.
wasn't
I
me.
have no idea.
Oh, we're gonna listen to that song all day today at work.
Yeah. Oh, no, I wouldn't for your mental sake.
Well, fine, not all day, but at least once.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take a listen.
Oh, good.
Anyways, for all of you millennials, you know what we're talking about. Okay, next point.
Segregated.
How does it feel?
That doesn't make a difference to me.
That's it. Just be passive.
Yeah, that doesn't make a difference.
Next point.
My self-worth is not based off of the year that I was born.
Immature people tell others who they art. Who thy art.
Who the what?
I actually put art. Like, who thine art.
Same.
Ye old.
Yay old.
All right, so immature people tell others who thy art.
Oh yeah, you know who I am?
Versus mature people just living. Just living it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We know. So I personally know, but we all know some dudes, old dudes with just absurd amounts of cash who look like nobody.
That's it. But they live in it.
They live in it. And it's like, listen, I don't need to be flashy. I don't need to be wearing like loafers and like a sports jacket and every single where I go and driving the brand new Mercedes. Like, it's not necessary. They don't want to do it, so they don't do it. But they're still loaded.
All right, think about the lawyer driving the 1989 BMW M5 with sand and trash on the floor and
Listen, when that person walks in a room, when I don't know what to really label this person as. I don't want to call him an adult, but that mature, that just when they enter a room,
Yeah.
you just know. It's no question of like they walk in and it's just like a form of respect. You see the whole room kind of give them.
and even if you don't know, you'll find out.
You'll find out very quickly, and they don't have to tell you
Nope.
exactly. Like I am who I no. They just carry themselves in a way that just shows who they are, and that's huge. That's who everyone should want to be, I guess.
That's it.
Maybe not everyone, but I mean,
You don't have to go out and announce who you are when you're living it because people will see it versus having to tell people.
absolutely.
All right, two
was,
more points while we got 2 minutes.
There was this quote. This old emperor was all like, people came to him and were like, "Why don't you build a statue of yourself and do all of these amazing things? You've done all these amazing things. Why don't you build a statue?" And he said, "I would much rather have people say that man was so great. Why is there no statue of him?" Rather than people say, "What did this man do that was so amazing that they built a statue for him?"
Talk about it. So that's
Bars.
actions versus words.
That is
Sad to
actually
hear.
that's a beautiful quote right there.
All right, last 2 points. Immature people blame others versus mature people taking ownership.
We
I
kind
mean,
of already talked about
that's pretty
that.
much excuses in progress.
Yep.
And last point, immature people. Oh, it's kind of an off context quote. Your integrity is only as good as your honesty.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because there's people if you can do a job, great, that's wonderful. But if you lack in anything else, like your integrity is also a part of that equation. Like,
Listen, like you could be the best at what you do. Like as an audio engineer, I could be the best audio engineer on the planet, but if I never show up
yeah,
to my sessions, then it's useless. You know what I mean? That becomes your integrity. Especially if you say I'm gonna be there, and then you don't show up. You know what I mean? And other people are waiting on you. That builds that's everything that you're building off right there.
Or even if you just lie, oh yeah, I'll have it done by next Friday, and you like, oh, my dog ate it. I'll have it done by next Tuesday.
my dog ate this audio file.
Yeah.
The dog ate the audio file.
It's a soundbite.
You look
Oh yes.
I'm so mad.
Oh, Becky's gonna love that one. That's unfortunate.
and with that bombshell,
Well, we got a minute. Anybody else got anything to?
no, hey, listen. Maturity. Step one of maturity is taking care of your own problems, accepting that you are the problem. Like that's a tough pill for a lot of people to swallow. But your life is the sum total of your decisions. Mr. Bill Gates, I almost said my friend again. Bill Gates
Your boy.
said, my boy
The homie.
Gatesy, he said, it's not your fault if you're born poor, it's your fault if you die poor. And everybody thinks, Gates is all about the money. That's not what he's talking about. It's not your fault if you're born poor mentally. If you're poor, again, if you're
Did we cut that?
I don't know. Go ahead.
if you're born poor emotionally, I gotta like say every single word. Whatever. It's your fault if you die poor emotionally or spiritually or whatever the term is. I say we just cut this last minute of the blog.
And on that note, we'll see you next time. Hear the ducks.
Thank you for listening to the Life Podcast Show. We really appreciate all your support. We meet every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning just to talk and share our perspectives on everyday life situations. If you haven't already, please share this with your friends and give them a chance to join the conversation. Also, if you liked what you heard today, rate our podcast. The higher the rating, the longer we can keep this going. And a special thanks to our future sponsors that will soon partner with us on this journey. If anyone would like to contact us, please email us at thelifepodcastshow@gmail.com. One word. That's thelifepodcastshow@gmail.com. Be blessed and have a wonderful day.